republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is the Reverend Mark Chumney here? Okay. Ms. Gilliard, will you lead us in the invocation?
Yes, let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, God, we come today asking, first of all, for your divine guidance and giving you thanks for what you do. God, we thank you that our school year has begun and things appear to be running smoothly. But God, we pray your continued love to shine down on each school, each administrator, and keep our children safe. Now, God, as we come to take care of the affairs of this district, grant us wisdom, God, that we may make the decisions that are in the best interest of our children. Help us, oh God, that we may be fair and transparent in all of our dealing. God, we just pray that we would strive to do our very best to serve this community and be the stewards of the resources that have been given. Now, God, just protect and keep us is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with a presentation from Mr. Siegel from the Rotary Club. Keystone Heights Rotary or Interlochen? Keystone Rotary. Is Carmen McKinney here? I'm here. Okay, would you come up, sweetie?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying the microphone.
Okay. Are we on? Okay. Okay. The Keystone Heights Rotary Club, which is in Clay County, but its membership includes Putnam and Bradford counties. Part of our mission to do good and to improve work in the community is to work on childhood literacy. We have a two-stage process. One is we get people from the community to come in and read with children to expand their contact with adults enjoying books, and they're books at the kids' level. My second objective in creating that program was to get adults into the school to see that the schools are well run, that there are well-behaved and attentive children, who do care about learning and do care about other people, and there are good teachers there. And we have succeeded in that objective. We've done this with Melrose Elementary School in Putnam County and Keystone Heights Elementary School and McRae Elementary School in Clay County. The second part of our process is to support literacy after we're gone. And our goal was to raise funds to allow the schools to buy books to give children, particularly low-income children who probably don't have or have never had a new book in their life, so that as the school, with whatever program it has to distribute books to kids, the kids earn the right to go pick up a book. We wanted to buy some of those books. So I'm here today to present to the Melrose Elementary School $1,000 to buy books for that. The money this year came from the Clay Electric Cooperative Foundation. We have to thank them. They've given us the money for all three schools, and that made our fundraising a lot easier. But the impact on the kids, hopefully most of the students in grades 1, 2, and 3 will be able to take home a book of their own with their name in it that they don't have to bring back, that they can read with their parents, their grandparents, the aunts and uncles, and show them that they're learning to read. So I'd like to do the presentation, the formal one. Come up a little bit closer if you don't mind.
And y'all want to maybe pose here,
Okay?
Richard, if you would?
Who is taking pictures?
You want to, anybody else want to join us?
Rick, you ought to,
Yeah.
and the chairman, ought to get in there.
Chairman?
Where's our photographer?
I don't know.
We'll let them tell us where to
I
stand.
know which one is at a school, Kirk Carty is at a school.
Somebody else took his spot, but I guess Carolyn's gonna move.
Okay. And we'll stand over here and present the check, because we don't have to say anything else.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Ow.
Okay, does anyone else want to turn in a public comment card? Remember, try to keep it to 3 minutes. First, we have Mr. Jim Paget from Lift Putnam. He's going to give us an update.
Well, he gets a strict 3 minutes.
Yeah, he gets 2.
I don't know if any of y'all can tell time, but I'll trust it. Excuse me. Jim Paget with Lift Putnam, and our offices are right here in this building, thanks to you. Just a quick, a brief preview of what we're going to do at your next regularly scheduled board meeting. We will be giving you our annual report from our last year. We will be sharing with you our budget, which we have adopted for the upcoming year. It's a pretty ambitious budget. And, we'll present what we're doing and what we want to do with you, in some detail at the next meeting. I'm anxious to tell you, though, that today we approved our 100th child for pre-K. Maybe you should hold your applause till we get the money that we need, but we're working on that very diligently. Superintendent Cerency and I appeared before the Board of County Commissioners today, and I thought it was a workshop, but I thought that it went very, very well. And just like you folks, they don't vote on issues, but they did decide to go ahead and include us in their budget to be reviewed and approved very shortly. So we got our fingers crossed there. I hope that goes well. But I thought that, that the meeting just was really good. And they were very attentive and I think genuinely interested in being a part of it. Lastly, I know that you are in the midst of negotiations. Seems like they've been going on since, long time, about the Campbell Building. And I would just say this, that if someone doesn't offer you a deal that's really good, that you think is really good for the district, before you make a final decision, think about Lift Putnam. There might be some creative things that we could do, maybe in the way of matching funds, maybe fundraising, maybe the flexibility of people making tax deductible donations. So, I'm just mentioning that as something that you might think about. Mr. Cerency and I have just talked about that in very, very, very general terms. But certainly if you have a deal that's a good deal, you don't want to pass that up. But there may be an alternative which would also benefit kids in the district. So, thank you. I appreciate that. I know I listened to in the workshop briefly today about money that we essentially are required to purchase certain educational programs to try to up the academic abilities of our students in our most needy schools that certainly aren't grading as high as they should. And number one is, we don't have, what was this, the 60 out of 100 kids have not had adequate pre-K. Is that the figure that you'd heard or have not attended?
Well, the statistic that, Early Ed has shared with us is that 60% of the kids that take the kindergarten readiness test do not pass it.
Do not pass
And
it if they have not had pre-K. Yeah.
But the ones that went through our pre-K program this year, the success rate was 95 to 100%, depending upon the elementary school.
And when people complain about
Wow.
when people complain about schools, they don't realize that the children, they don't receive the appropriate prenatal care. Their parents don't, and then when they get to school, they haven't been brought in on an equal footing, and they're never going to catch up. I mean, it's hard, but it's. And I know Rick's on board with this too. He's trying to pull his hair out, like you've already pulled yours out, and I just hope we can find better ways to.
Well, Jim and I met with a consultant from NEFAC, and who is giving us some good ideas about how we might be able to maximize some of those funds.
Yeah, it's something to think about, just in the back of your mind. Well, maybe, this would be worth exploring. I don't have any answers,
nor even maybe any specific suggestions, but, you know, there might be something there, you know, just something to think about. Okay, am I excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're over your
Right.
3 minutes, go.
Oh, yeah. I always forget.
Thank you, Jim.
Is our TV not working?
No,
I just noticed it. Mr. Herman Summers would like to come speak to us about life insurance. So good to see
I can't
you.
say good afternoon in 3 minutes.
I
You
know
me
you
well
can't.
enough to know
You
that.
have to tighten up, Mr. Summers.
Superintendent Surrency, Chairman Crawford, I want to speak to you for just a minute. I want to remind you that you also represent the retirees of the Putnam County school system. And I must state that that's not readily apparent when you look at the astronomical increase in the insurance, life insurance cost. People are looking at that. It's going to affect your teacher retention. It's going to affect your teacher recruitment. Mr. Buckles, you have long used that $20,000 life insurance as a recruiting tool for employees. And you have stated you'll always have that $20,000 life insurance. Well, retirees count on that $20,000. It's designated fund that's placed there for that specified reason. And you have made it very difficult because of the astronomical increase for us to even retain that $20,000. There's still no retirees represented on the insurance committee. So they can't very well state their desires. And I'm not sure that in your negotiations to this point that you really have taken the retirees into consideration. So what I'm asking you to do is just take a good look at it and don't forget the retirees that have worked long and hard for Putnam County. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Herman.
Okay, we're going to start with the consent agenda now, and I'll start with Ms. Jorgensen. Do you have anything you would like to pull?
no, ma'am.
Okay, I would like to pull F3.
That's what I had, F3 also, just that early release.
Yeah, was that the
Yeah.
only one you had?
I have that one. And Mr. Hinkie took care of all the others.
Okay.
So you and I have F3.
Mr. Buckles
No, ma'am.
and Ms. Cummings.
E2 and H5. Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus E2, F3, H5.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll start with E2 then, Ms. Cummings.
Yeah, and Rhonda, I'm sorry, it's just a clarification, because E2, there's separate allocations, and then E4, there's 2 additional, and I guess that's just,
They came in after the date of when we had already published, so we just added another.
oh, okay. So would that be something that would be under emergency, or no?
Came in before she had published it.
Okay. So I guess my question is, when allocations, I'm confused because like when we made budget cuts in June, we had savings of so much money in our budget because we cut allocations. So then when we add, like, there's at least one that's added back. So I'm not sure. Yeah, yeah. So I guess I'm confused on how that we can approve our budget. The one in particular we did cut was under, and it might be an IT question, but it's under the IT department.
Public information.
Administrative public
Let the
relations.
superintendent speak to
Yeah,
that.
I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, we actually had a consultant come in, and Mr. Bowen is here also if you have additional questions, because he met with him, but he did recommend, one of the recommendations that the FADS consultant made, who was from Tallahassee, was that we added an additional allocation for a public information officer.
Okay.
And as of right now, we are not posting that, pending funding. So, but that is something that we're looking at doing if the funding becomes available.
And
Would there be additional duties, in addition to what the other person had?
Yeah, I mean, basically, and he suggested that be a position that we reorganize it where it answers directly to the superintendent, and they would be given duties, dealing with the press, managing our Facebook page, website. Basically, all of our communication would come through that person, which is an important part of our, district as far as letting our public know and our stakeholders know what's going on with our district.
so this person would not necessarily take care of, say, Price Middle School, Brown and Pierce with their information, or should that come through this person?
It would come
too,
through that
to
person.
censor it? Well, they
Right.
mentioned that in our workshop,
Yeah.
probably having that one person that would deal with the press, and it's fed through from the various schools to that person.
Right, somebody who could just funnel all that information. We do a regular Putnam Pulse, send out information, and it takes a lot of work to do that. So we want some person that could, be in charge of that. At the time, we eliminated that position back during budget cuts, but it was recommended to us through this most recent FAS analysis that we add that back in. And at such time when funding is available, then we will advertise that position.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you see, were there any other recommendations, just so for the budget, we could plan other positions that might be added back, or is that pretty much only one?
Right. And we're going to get a written report, but you want to kind of address some of those questions that came up?
Right, and so very briefly, he recommended that we have someone to push out information so we can get on the front side of the news. Once this person would report directly to the superintendent, and as far as the funding goes, we advertised internally for the IT director's position, and like we've done everything else, when we've lost a position, we've taken on additional responsibilities, so we weren't going to replace wherever that IT director came from. And we're thinking with that salary, or wherever the salary, because the gentlemen who have all applied for the IT position, if any of them are hired, they currently make more than what this position would call for. So in essence, we would save money, not spend more. Because we're
Okay.
hiring, if we hire internally.
Yes.
Right. So if we don't, then we obviously can't fill this position, and that's what the superintendent means when he says, when the funding becomes available.
Right.
So it's not posted as of this?
No,
No.
no, ma'am.
We're not adding any more to our, we've already
Right.
cut that position unless we can fund it out of an existing position that we're not going to advertise for it.
All right, I'll
Yep.
make
Thank
a
you, Tom.
motion to approve item E2.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, the next one is F3, and this, Ryan, do you mind coming up?
Ryan?
It's
Or-
not-
Yeah, Ryan Zimmerman? Yeah. Yeah, I asked Ryan Zimmerman, he's our district science coach, and I asked him to come and just share some important information about the solar eclipse and the possible hazards that it might have on our students. And that is the basis of our recommendation for an early release day. And I know you've already heard I think the paper publicized some information, but I want us to hear directly, our public needs to hear the hazards that are involved with the solar eclipse. So, Ryan, thanks for coming.
So really, any amount of time is too much time, and I've heard from science teachers are usually very safe that when you're studying the sun, but other teachers are not familiar with the hazards. I've heard comments like, "Well, we'll just tell our kids to squint. We're bringing sunglasses, and that's not going to work." So the other challenge is how long? How long can you look? And you hate to really say because some people may take that as a challenge. So really, any amount of time is too long, and I have the correct protection for that. I wouldn't want to take that opportunity away from any children, but we need to make sure that you're using the correct certified eyewear.
Does the board have any questions or comments?
I know it's serious. Channel 4 has a link for parents to go on, and it tells them, it mentioned what you said, that the sunglasses themselves won't cut it, you know, as far as the rays getting through.
Right.
So if we're taking precautions, you know, to protect our children, you know.
Well, this isn't taking precautions to protect our children. This is getting them out of the schools so we're not liable. And not for nothing, but at least out where I live, there's more kids without parents than there are with that are gonna make sure they don't look at the sun. And I'm concerned we send them home and there's nobody watching them at all.
Well, the problem is,
send
that-
them home on the bus
yeah, we would,
anyway.
under a normal day, we would be sending them home on a regular release. So we would lose control of them at that point. While they're in school, we can control that.
Right.
But during dismissal, we cannot guarantee that we could keep kids from looking at the sun. So we want to make sure they are at least at home and parents have the opportunity to control that.
And the window is about 3 hours, too.
I'm torn like Kathy as a shelter in place. It would be fairly easy to lock down schools and keep the kids in there, but you're talking 3 hours. And it's, from what I've heard from a lot of the parents is they would rather have their children to watch over them, but then there's the parents that
At work.
you can't hit them all, you know. I don't know an easy answer other than you're torn between shelter in place and keeping kids all day.
Well, how about if the parents request early dismissal so they can watch over their kids? They get it, and those are the parents that are gonna watch over their kids, by the way.
That's what St. John's is doing. They're just allowing to have an excused absence or early release without counting against them. And there's only 2 districts that, all that I've found, I've spent a lot of time researching it, that are doing early release, and the rest are not,
I
so.
really think in this county anyway, we're better off
Question.
keeping them
Yeah,
in school.
I agree,
most of them.
100%.
And if a parent requests it, we can rest assured the parent's gonna watch the child.
Explain that to me, Nikki, what St. John's County's doing.
They're allowing the kids to get, just not counting it against their absence or
So
their.
just stay home all day.
They just said hang on, the board member, I'll read it exactly, because
Herman wanted to ask a question.
St. John's is,
Herman?
it's not counting against
I'd
their,
like to make a comment, if you'll excuse me. There is no way you can get proper eye protection.
Right,
right.
For the
I'm not gonna
students
look.
of Putnam County.
Right.
They are not available.
right, that's true.
Right,
My
thank you,
biggest
Herman.
concern is the ride home. Dismissal is right slap dab in the middle of it all. So if we're driving kids home on the buses, or even in cars for that matter, it's right in the middle of it.
Of the 3-hour window.
Yeah. So either we let them go early or we keep them late.
Well, the height's 2:48. So is everybody gonna be home by 2:48?
No.
No.
Well, yeah, if they're
Even the early
released
release
early,
day?
Yes, if they do the early.
Yeah, early release they would be.
Right.
What did you want to say something, sir?
Yes, ma'am. So my concern
Who are
is-
you?
My name's Kent Warman. I'm a parent of 2 of the children in the district.
Okay.
And so my concern when reading this was that, similar to what you addressed, where you're taking it from a controlled environment to an uncontrolled environment. But it seems to me that we should be educating the kids this whole week about this situation, so that when they're on the bus and when
Yes.
they're by themselves, they know that it is dangerous to look at the sun. As educators, I think that's the point that should be made, not sending them home early.
Well, we
Well,
did
and-
post something in the newspaper. Scott Bryan put a link on there for us, and we actually sent a press release that Ryan put together for the newspaper to publish, so we can get the information out.
But even I,
Respectfully, the kids are not reading newspapers, they're not reading
Absolutely.
press
well, and I can
releases,
tell you, they're not going
Well,
to
and
all
we're
listen
doing
to
it-
their teachers either.
Yeah,
But
the
if they
schools
hear
are,
it every-
schools
I
are
mean, I've
addressing it
taught for
also.
25 years, and that's,
I would have looked at the sun when
I would have looked at it
Me
in a
too.
heartbeat.
The schools are addressing it as well.
Yes, that's what we
Yeah, they
want. We
are.
need to
Schools are
let them
talking
know
about.
that every teacher is sharing that same piece of information. It doesn't have to be long, just simply the harmful effects of looking at it. If they hear that in every period, you know, I think we then are taking, you know, precautions, extra precautions,
But they're good-
education, telling them.
What happens though when they have to leave that controlled environment
Well, they're
and
going-
get on the bus?
They're
and go
When they
home?
get home
The
and they're,
same thing as every other dangerous variable in our environment.
We just pray they don't look at
As long
it.
as you've educated them as far as you have with, you know, strangers, drugs,
Right.
weapons.
And we
all
just
that.
pray they don't
You do
look
the
at
best
it.
you can as
Yeah.
educators.
And then
Right?
we get
Same as we
sued
do
'cause
as parents.
somebody's
They're not gonna
eyes
listen
get
to us
hurt.
when, you know, at a certain point.
Nikki,
But
I want
that's,
her to read.
and,
that.
you know, the other thought I had is, there's an
248
opportunity
is
here
the
for
height.
science teachers across the district to also after-school programs to maybe keep the kids in school and educate them further, right? I think NASA's doing a live feed of this, so that's an opportunity to keep kids who want to learn about the eclipse in the school and learning.
One district's
Thank you
keeping
for
them extra
mentioning
30
that. It's a good
minutes.
That's what I'm thinking.
One kept them an extra 30 minutes to be able to enjoy it and do it in a supervised. St. Johns County, from their school board yesterday, said that we are not doing early release, regular day with all absences, early checkouts are excused.
So they can not come and it'd be excused, or they can come and check out early and it's excused.
Correct. I just feel like all the parents that I've talked to that have to get off work early and take a day off work to get their kids is a very big, and in our district is a huge inconvenience to parents that are working, and I don't feel like that's a burden that we need to take on when we could have a supervised environment and we educate them and then we put them on the bus and we do the best we can to educate our kids. Because whether they're on the bus or they're at home, they're going to be looking at the sky if they choose to do that. It's their
Right.
All
choice.
they gotta do is tell them not to, and they want to.
So,
Your elementary students will be on the bus at 2:48.
yeah, they absolutely will. And they,
To get through the 3-hour window, would we have to keep the kids after school, after the traditional school day?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be up through 4:30 or 5.
4:12 from here.
I just don't see us being able to do that.
And I was asking Charlie about the
Teacher contract.
liability, which is another concern. I
It
mean,
is a concern.
students have permanent eye damage while they're in our care, and I guess you're saying that our
My
care
opinion
should be
is
to
that
do what?
The district instruct the students not to look at the sun, period.
there you go.
Because how can we even rely on these special eye protection, which in some news reports have said
no
have
good.
counterfeit ISO and certified numbers.
There's a TV you should watch.
From the district's perspective, we just have to say, don't look at the sun.
Scare the bejesus
If
out
the
of
parents or, if they want to take a different route, that's the
them. If
parents'
they want to take their
prerogative.
kid out, they can.
But,
Let's
Yeah.
keep
You know,
them.
this is
Absolutely.
a situation that the district will not be liable for.
I think that's a good
And
idea.
we have instructed these students and teachers and everyone in the district not to look at the sun.
If we have gotten to every student in the district, and that's a difficult task. You have science and English and history and this and that on the high school level, same with
Send
middle
out an email,
school.
tell every
I'm
teacher they
I'm
do
in
talk
favor of
about it.
early dismissal. I know it's hard on the working
What I was
parents,
go-
but
what- go ahead.
liability for the district if they're in our care.
I'm speaking strictly about safety.
Yeah, me too.
And one thing that we haven't mentioned here at all is the adults who are actually driving the buses.
Yeah.
You know, they have to be able to see out and drive.
Well, my question was, Rick, do you think we could send a letter home with each child and have it brought back? And if they don't bring the letter back signed by a parent, then the school officials try to make contact with the parents to let them all know of the dangers, and we're going to let them go because we
Done
can't
stuff like
keep.
that before.
I mean, but I know we've done it before, but we probably haven't done it for this.
No, we haven't.
And I know that only a small percentage of the population are gonna read the Palaca Daily News.
But
Not really, Scott.
Reverse
Or notes we
911.
send home.
see it this way. I mean, well, think of it this way. Every period, all 6 periods, every teacher just read a scripted, and that kid hears it in every period. It'll take a minute to just read it, and then go into whatever subject. We go to second period, read it, to just emphasize to them the danger of, if we're going to do the early release, they need to hear it. And if they're hearing it from 6 teachers from now until Friday, when Monday comes, the day of the eclipse, hopefully it will have registered. This must be important. Every teacher is saying the same thing over and over. I mean, that would be what I would do.
Yeah, my concern is the babies that are gonna go home and there's nobody gonna be there.
And that's a lot of them, but if the superintendent can get the principals to send notifications and make the announcements like Sandy's talking over the intercom several times a day, I think that's about the most we could do. And because if you do shelter in place, you're still gonna be sending them home during the
Bus drivers.
back end. Who's to say that it's gonna stop when they say it's gonna stop? I mean, you just don't need to be looking at the sun and.
Yeah, we can get the word out. That's not a problem. I mean, we can do that. I'm just trying to be practical here too. And, understand, you tell kids not to,
Well, let me ask you this.
They're gonna be looking at
it. It was brought to my attention too, something about the number of minutes that our low-performing schools have to attend. They're gonna be missing some minutes.
well, we're okay. We checked on that and, we're gonna be okay on that, yeah.
If it rains, none of this is gonna matter.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
if it rains
And
or
it-
it's cloudy, we're gonna.
really?
It's
Yeah.
supposed to, and Tuesday, it's supposed to get ugly again.
Well, we can
And
do
you
a
have to
rain
do your rain,
dance.
oh, you
No.
mouth the rain dance, I was gonna tell you to do.
My thing is just if every other district, I mean, not that I compare it, but in the safety and the welfare of the children, if all our surrounding are having school, why are we not having school? We have two that are doing it, Union and Nassau. That's it. So to me, let's try to do what's in the best interest and the safety. So I just, the majority, I just don't want to.
But what do you do with the bus drivers trying to drive the bus during?
They don't look at the
Not gonna
sun.
drive like that.
They're going to be looking
Hopefully they're
straight.
gonna be
It's going to
looking
be
straight.
dark, but
Hopefully.
John.
every other district, they're going to be driving the buses at every Duval. They go over the big
look up in the
buses.
sky if you're going up the bridge.
If it was a hurricane, we'd be sending kids home early anyway. I'd have to.
Yeah, we need this day for if we get a hurricane.
Well, you know, the superintendent didn't take this request lightly.
I
and
know we didn't.
I don't think we can, I think the liability of shelter in place or trying to keep them throughout the day is gonna be really, really
And I
tough.
think that
Impossible.
the memo can say if you choose to keep your child home or you want to check them out early,
Well, that's up to the superintendent and.
isn't that what they're
yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
How do you
Other schools?
St.
supervise
John's
children
is-
on a bus not to look out the window at the sun?
Well, if they're released early, it'll be all right. I mean,
How is this different than any other day of the year when we try and prevent our kids from looking at the sun? It's no different. I mean,
But we
it's the
haven't
same-
told them for a week, don't look at the sun, don't look at the sun.
Well-
And a lot of kids,
Well, I
it's
want
like, don't
Ryan
think
to
of orange,
clarify.
don't think of the color orange.
This is a little different because normally you look at the sun, you squint and all that, and you have pain. With this, it's going to
don't.
be different.
No, there's no pain associated with looking at the sun. My thing is, it's not. We haven't had events like this. It's all over the
100
news. It's all
years,
over
so
social media.
Vernon was the only one here then.
Teaching science, it's a lot of observable world things that, you know, my wife hates when I talk shop with her when I go home, and she's, you know, I pointed out to her one time that the moon was visible during the day and her head exploded. We don't look at a lot of the things around us. So now we've drawn our attention to the eclipse. It's a teachable moment, and I have the eye where I'm going to look, and full transparency, I would have been a teacher who would have been upset that we couldn't bring our kids outside, but we do need to worry about the safety of the kids because, you know, it could range from an eye that feels like it has sand in it to permanent blindness. So, you know, I'm not here to say, you know, what we should do other than to make sure we're safe with whatever we do.
Gary Nielsen's the only guy I ever knew that would look at the sun, so I don't know.
What's the time frame of
Ms.
looking
Miller
at?
has the right point, and I think you do it regardless of whether you do early release or not, which is to educate these children every day with the same message.
I agree.
The communication means that you can reach the parents through email, through your robocalls, through handouts going home. You have the means to communicate to the children while they're in school every period, every day.
Yes.
Next week, whether you decide to send them home early or not, obviously is not our decision, it's your decision, but there are definite impacts, local economic impacts, local parental impacts. So there's a lot to think about. I don't envy your
If the superintendent and his instructional staff communicate to the students, get kids home like they say they're gonna get them home, I don't have a problem with that. And if somebody chooses to keep their child home all day, that'll be up to the principal and the superintendent how they wanna handle that. I just, you know, there will be parents that may wanna keep their child home all day.
Yeah.
So
There are
we're not-
parents that
so
are
you're
taking their kids to South Carolina.
So you're proposing not to have early release?
I'm proposing to go, I'm gonna support the early release.
Me too.
And 117 is when it starts, so it's to 412-ish.
If we can't shelter in place till the very end and know when the secure end of the eclipse is,
I agree.
no need to shelter in place.
Get them out before.
Because I think the end was what, like 5?
And
412,
4:30.
yeah.
Somebody call, make a motion.
I raised 4 children as a working parent, and I am very sensitive to that. I am. But it happens. I mean, we had snow days, and I was supposed to go to work, and I had to arrange for my kids. So I'm sorry for this decision, but I'm going to make a motion that we approve item F3, request for early release on August 21st due to the solar eclipse.
And I will
With
second,
education.
I will second that motion along with Ms. Gilliard, what she said, the education that the superintendent will direct his principals to provide.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nay? Aye. Motion passes 3-2.
Jane
Nikki
and
and
Nikki
Jane.
voted no. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan.
Right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
Next on our agenda,
Oh,
H5.
I pulled this item, we had a workshop discussing it for the Learning Sciences International for the Mosley TOPS plan, and I just wanted to make a statement. I know that they did a lot of work, and there are several moving parts to providing such a service. It's a $200,000 contract that I understand that the state has asked us to make a proposal by September 13th. I'm just disappointed that we didn't see this coming for Mosley. We've known that this has been a problem for over a year, 2 years, 3 years. So if they had all these last minute decisions, if the state's saying now, and we didn't have a kind of the opportunity to do more RFPs and more opportunities for proposals because of time constraints. Again, I am a big believer on RFPs. We do RFPs for roofs, concrete work, painting, tree work, everything. And again, my point is that I feel like that Mosley is just something that we've always had as a problem. So it's not a surprise. We have iReady, we have Performance Matters that shows us the data, that shows that we're probably not going to make the grade that we were hoping for through all these assessments. Again, we're going to a company from Washington State, and that's the only formal proposal we received. Again, University of Florida Education does a lot of work in surrounding counties, and they were not given a formal proposal. They were not asked for one, and that's disturbing. So I'm not voting for this. I don't feel that the proper proposal of RFPs and everything we do RFP-wise should have been done a little bit. So again, it's just a personal opinion, and in budget crunch, $200,000 from Washington State was the only option that the board was presented with.
For the record, I would like either Ms. France or Mr. Hinkie to come up.
Has something she
Yeah, I just want them to clarify our timelines and why we did what we did.
While
and their work in Florida.
while they're coming up, I was kind of impressed that we got it for $100,000 cheaper than one of the other school districts, so.
Yeah,
I thought we did pretty good, but go ahead.
I just want to clarify, there are actually two different contracts. One of them is through the University of Washington Center for Educational Leadership. That is a contract that is up to be paid for using SIG4 grant dollars. That is for Mellon, Platka High School, and Jenkins. The Learning Sciences International contract is the contract for Mosley. Any other questions?
Well, and I want to clarify timeline because we did cover that today in the board workshop, that the district received information on July 5th that we needed to pursue a partnership, which we did throughout the month of July, working with many different districts that have been in the same position we have been in. And we have gotten information from many different companies. And we went with the one that the principal and the district felt would be the one that would be most appropriate for use in our county to make the difference for Mosley.
Ms. Jorgensen.
Okay, the state legislature via this House Bill 7069 that probably everybody's heard about one way or the other, it's big news. That's where this is all coming from, and because Mosley has not earned a good grade or a high enough grade or however they think, we now have to hire a company to help us with Mosley. It was last minute, and I have it on my calendar in March to bring it up. In the meantime, we've asked at the workshop that the board get the data results and the reports, seeing how this company is doing to help Mosley. And then in the spring, we'll have ample time, because it's a one-year contract, to evaluate this company and perhaps look at some others. But I really believe that under the circumstances with the House bill and then all these deadlines, that our staff, personally, I think they did a great job. I really did.
And to the point
That's
that,
amazing.
and to the point that it was so important that we have one of our employees hand delivering the plan, am I correct? The proposal, the grant?
The grant part.
And
Yes,
also
the
to
grant
make
part.
it clear that we were not required to do an RFP on this.
No, it's not like
Right,
a
you don't
roof
have
where
to,
everybody's
it's
gonna
just-
give you the same
That is
roof.
correct.
Yeah.
This is an intangible.
Right, I
service,
understand.
So it's,
Right,
it's
no,
not
of
just
course
by
it's.
price. You don't
Right.
just go by price.
That is
Right.
correct.
With
It is a
something like
single
this.
source vendor that can provide the
Exactly.
product that we need at that site.
Exactly.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item H5.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay,
Second.
we'll go into
Who seconded that?
David?
David seconded that.
out of regular session into emergency session. Okay, let me find it. We have one item, and that is change order number 2, Palatka High School justification explanation. It is time sensitive.
I would like to make a motion to approve where this is going down $112,000. Woo!
I will second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes.
I want to clarify, John, I want to clarify the comment. John, could you address that, please?
Yes, please come
Just-
up to the podium.
I just want to make sure Ms. Jorgensen's aware of it.
Oh, previously authorized change orders, we saved 112.
No,
That's what it says, the net
No.
change
You
by
intentionally
previously
worded this very
authorized
carefully.
No.
change orders.
we direct purchased the material for $112,000, and we saved $7,365 on taxes. We've got to put a new cap on top of Palatka High, and that's another $12,000.
What's a cap?
Like this, it goes over top of around the edge of the building,
Kind
all
of
the
like
way
goes on a
around.
person's head, it's the same thing that goes on a building.
So we've saved 7,000?
So we did-
We saved $7,000 and spent another $5,000.
Right, and the
We're-
112 we still spent.
We're spending
we
an
just
extra
took it out of
$5,000
this.
on this job.
So the 112 just came out of this so as to save sales tax,
Yeah,
correct?
yes, ma'am. But we didn't save $112,000.
I see.
No, I just
Well-
took it off.
On this contract we
We can
did.
dream.
Well, on the contract we did.
Okay. All right, next is unfinished
Back
business.
into a regular session.
Oh. Let's go back into out of emergency session, back into regular session. And discussion of the retiree life insurance.
Well,
Do we have any update?
Well, we had an insurance committee meeting, and Rhonda can address that. They addressed your questions from last meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yes, as instructed by the board, we tried to go back to the group and discuss your concerns and come back with recommendations today. And the way we started the process, we met on August the 9th, the makeup of the insurance committee, and we had some people in the audience too, but we started and gave a recap on why we were here, how we got to the point where we were with the retiree life insurance, the recommendations that were made and everything. I updated the committee so that if we had people that weren't here at the board workshop, on the different people that spoke and things that were said, and the discussion among you all and everything that was said. And then I went to them and I asked for recommendations on the 2 different items. We'll discuss the retiree life insurance first. And there was a lot of debate back and forth and everything, but when all was said and done, I think what we were looking to do was to take that savings and to put it back in the hand of the retirees to help them offset their premiums. And the group makes the following recommendation to the board: provide a $140 check to $140 check to each retiree that still has our life insurance on June 30th, 2018 through the Accounts Payable Department of Finance. that would put it at the end of the period to be sure they're all still on our policy, and that would do a set amount, so we would know now what we're looking at. So that was a recommendation of the committee, and different people, different members of the committee are here if you want to speak to any of them. Danny's here today, who has handled our life insurance for umpteen years, where it was with MetLife and now it's with Unum. So they're all here to answer questions also.
My question would be, what about, I think it's 61 retirees who, when they heard about the jump, let it go?
There's still time, is there not, Tammy?
98 of them right now.
98
They have jumped.
retirees
Have
left the life insurance because of the rate increase, and now we're giving everybody else back money. Is there a way for them to get back on, Danny?
Yeah, yes, Tammy said there's still time to get on. Tammy, Danny, if you want to address it.
Danny said yes.
Harmon, you can.
Well, then they need to be sent emails or something. They really do.
But it's not on its action today.
There's no action.
No. There's no action today.
Jane Herman wants.
Yeah, Harmon?
Madam Chairman, since it's a 3-year contract, is it $140 per year or just a flat $140?
For this year so far, right?
We're doing 1 year at a time because there's always, we did lock in a rate for 3 years. That doesn't say that we're going to be with them for 3 years. We can always try to go out for a bid and get a better rate next year. But there will be that savings every year if we stay, hopefully, if we, I don't want to say anything that's out of, but that might not happen exactly, but there is that proposed savings if we stay with this for 3 years.
For those who have, out of financial requirements, jumped out of the program, an assurance of $140 per year would be an encouragement to get back in the program. Not adequate, but it would be.
Well, we'll notify them.
We need to notify them quickly.
And one of the things we talked about at the last meeting was, with this committee, if the superintendent would possibly look at, when you select your 4, I think it said you'd appoint 4, if you would consider putting, assigning getting a volunteer, one of the retirees to be on the board. I'm just making that recommendation or suggestion that we put one on there, because, it does affect them. And I honestly didn't realize to what extent. I really didn't, and now I do.
And Mr. Smith is the chairman.
He is the chairman of the insurance
committee.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a couple of clarifications. A lot of things we found out at the meeting last Wednesday. And one is that we looked at other school districts and other entities around, and even the county paid, their employees had a spike from $450, $465 to $799, $800, I believe. Yeah, $799.20. So the school district has been very good to the retirees, and I think to the point that it's been hurtful to the life insurance program for the active employees as far as enrollment in that is concerned. We did, from information from Danny, we got that all the school districts, they were grouped together, the retirees and the active employees. And I asked that we split the group at this point in time. That's what caused the large increase. And what I asked the insurance broker at the time, Dale Alexander, who was here the other day, and I asked him how many had where they were grouped together. And he said there were none. And he said I don't want to say very few, but there's not all of the districts, not all of the entities even provided life insurance for their people. And if you want to compare, everybody likes to compare to St. Johns County. There was some information given that the retirees for the St. Johns County are age banded, so they pay different rates at different ages, and it goes up from, I think, around 65 years old. It goes from $500 a month. $500 a year, upwards of over $1,000 a year. So I think Putnam County, the school district has, it has been a very good deal, and You know, it's sad to, you know, this happened like it did, but right now, if we were to do it, anything, even the 140 subsidy that they would be getting, it was still going to be unsustainable because it adds up to a $15 million liability. And so that's, you know, something that we need to kind of keep a tone about too.
And by that, he means 750 employees when they pass away. Sorry.
When you split the retirees out and make a group of them, the actuary tables just runs it right through the roof.
Right.
That's not the proper way to do that. This is a benefit that was given when they hired on with Putnam County, and it's not fair to put us in a special group. They should be in that group all throughout their career and their retirement.
Harmon, back when we were, when I was, you mentioned earlier my name, you know, we had a little more money and flexibility back in that day, and I was very fortunate because we were able to have 7% and 6% raises and plus help the retirees, and I still am optimistic that we're going to find a way over the next 3 years to do this, but it might not be 100% of what it was. Now, I talked to 3 or 4 retirees and that called me, and I said, I think we're going to be, it was rescinded. Essentially, we sent it back to the committee, and I used the wrong choice of words because Paul Smith got on to me about telling people, giving them the wrong information because they all called. But I don't know why Paul doesn't like the retirees, but I really do. Now, kidding, Paul, you know that.
When you were dealing with that, the retirees were considered part of the family.
Well, they still.
Now you've taken them and set them out there.
I think Rick still got they're in his heart. So let Danny talk to us about this.
Have you approached the Association of Counties, just as a question?
Not for the life insurance, no. And so you know, my partner Dale Alexander that helped me take this to bid, or I helped him take this to bid, has, when Paul made the statistic a minute ago, he has 82 school districts in the southeast under his belt. The only one that we had under the belt that still had blended retirees with the general population was the Putnam County School District. When we looked at going to bid over the past, before Dale was involved, I won this account about 15 years ago. You were still the superintendent when I won the account. There was only 320 retirees on the plan. We're approaching 800 retirees, and 89 of them were over, was 89 or 91, were over 80 years old. So what it did is it got us to where we were in a position where we had to renew with MetLife every year. There was no way out of our contract with MetLife. We were getting a 56% rate increase from MetLife because of it, and they only gave us a 1-year rate guarantee, which means next year we were probably looking at another 40 to 50% rate increase, and that was going to continue to compound. 5 years ago when we took this to bid, no one would bid the group unless we split them. Matter of fact, they didn't even ask me if I wanted to split them. They just sent the rates back with the two groups split out. So we were getting in a position to where MetLife could call the ball on whatever they wanted to do. All of a sudden, your life rate could be $500 a month, and so could the general employee population. I was told at the time that we had $2 million that we had to try and come up with rectifying. So the best out of the 8 or so quotes that we got back were with Unum. They gave us 2 alternatives. They were one of about half the group that gave us a 3-year rate guarantee. So I know Paul was real concerned in the beginning that we were going to pass, you know, in a year we were going to double y'all's rates again, in a year we're going to double your rates again. At least we have a 3-year rate guarantee with them right now, and that gives us time to look at other alternatives. I know that some of you are on the health insurance, that we made the shift to the health insurance consortium here in the state, and it saved us a great deal of money, saved you guys a great deal of money on the health insurance, gave you some more choices. Well, I've been begging them to come up with a life insurance program, and they have not been able to yet, but that is the one thing the one mountain they're trying to climb now. If I get anything good out of them, I'll be knocking down the door to bring that back to you. But we're trying everything we can, and I'll be honest with you, I'm the bearer of bad news. I am never the good news guy. You can ask these guys. I come in with the health insurance bad news, with the dental bad news, with the whatever, and it's with all my clients. Nobody likes to see the insurance man walk in the door. I will tell you that we spoke about this at great length for many for many insurance meetings as to what we were going to be able to do with the retirees. At no point did anyone say, well, we need to do what all these other districts are doing and carve them out. No one. We tried to do everything we could to keep the rate as palatable as possible. And I know it doesn't sound palatable to you guys, and I know you don't like hearing what your neighbor's doing. The only time somebody wants to tell me what their neighbor's doing is when what their neighbor's doing is a whole lot better than what we're doing here, and they want me to fix it. But like St. Johns County, because everybody looks over there, our county here, St. Johns County Schools, we looked at about 5 different other groups this size. All of their life insurance was at least double for the general population that we have on the retirees now, double what we moved to. I will do everything in my power. It's incredible. So, didn't do away with the life insurance by any means. I know that doesn't make you sound any better, make me sound any better, but trying to make it work for both parties was what we were trying to accommodate. So I apologize. I'll answer any questions I can. It is not an easy job.
Well, and I've heard from a couple of retirees that tried to find it on their own outside of the school system, and it was just unbelievable.
Yep. So I got lots of phone calls too. Tammy got the most phone calls, but some people have my cell phone number. 2 of them called me back and said they tried to do the Colonial Penn deal and immediately wanted to get a hold of Tammy and figure out how to get back on the plan. That doesn't make, I don't care what my neighbor's doing. I want to know what you're doing for me.
Right.
We did the best we could for you guys. I swear it was excruciating. Because of Dale's 82 school districts, we got really good pricing from all of the carriers that we went after. Unum just happened to be the best, and it was the best for both you guys and the overall district, the overall employees. We still have some other stuff to overcome with it, looking at whether we want to go age banded. There's other things that we need to do, but we had to start to right the ship, and that was the smallest step we could take to right the ship. I'm sorry, don't throw tomatoes at me in the parking lot. Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask the superintendent to, number one, put it on the agenda for the next meeting that we can take action on the committee's new recommendation. And also, like Mr. Page said, we need to get word out to the employees that dropped the life insurance policy immediately.
And Rhonda and Tammy, how are we communicating with them? Because I know we have a time frame.
No problem.
You can send letters out to them, let them know they can still re-enroll?
Right, as soon as I know how y'all are gonna handle it, then I'll have a letter ready to go out the day of the board meeting.
Okay.
Out of
We can have that ready.
curiosity, what would it take to just
September 5th.
absorb the price? You told us
Yes.
last time, Ron, it seemed like it was an extreme amount of money.
It was. I mean, we'd have to do the math, but the difference between what the current rates are, I don't have any of that in front of me. Let me, hold on.
84.
Is that Tammy, what's your deadline? Because the next meeting's September 5th. So do we need to send a letter out prior to then?
Yes.
Quarter of a million.
You got to understand that
$250,000.
we've already had 2 retirees' claims come through since July 1. So whatever y'all do with as far as how you're going to fund it, not being ugly, I don't care when you come up with that, but as far as we need to get them in the system as fast as we can, because
Right,
if
I
one of them
understand.
dies and then raises their hand and says, yeah, I want the $140 and I want to get back on the plan, that's not going to happen. I can't pull that miracle off.
Right, I understand.
So we need to, as quickly as possible, get it out there and give them an absolute deadline date as to when they can respond, and they've got to respond, because I don't want to have to fight that battle with Unum if somebody passes.
Rhonda, Kathy mentioned $250,000. Does that sound about right?
300,000 at
That-
least.
that would have to come out of the general
I'm looking at,
fund.
I don't have everything in front of me, but the new rates went to 480, is that correct? And the old rates were 84?
84, it's about
So
400.
480 minus
That's about
84
700.
is 396 times 749, $296,604. $300,000.
That's a lot of money.
So we
I'd
can
like
get
to
those
say-
letters out prior to the next board meeting. Okay.
I'd like to say one
We
last
won't mail
thing.
them out until the board votes on it, because we don't want to mail out something and then it be,
Well, is that going to be time? There's what I'm concerned about.
Be time.
Won't be time.
Should we call them?
It wasn't written as action. They didn't have it on as action.
Yeah, it's not listed as action, it's just strictly discussion. That's why I was concerned.
No, I don't know why they didn't add it.
So all this,
Or is that, can they vote on it today?
I went back and looked at the minutes to see, and the minutes state that it was reopened for discussion, but it seems like, and I don't have the video, I didn't know that this was gonna potentially be an issue, but I thought, my recollection was that it was opened up for discussion and action. So I didn't know if it was maybe a scrivener's
If the
error
agenda
that,
doesn't say it, then public doesn't know we're gonna take action.
if,
Has to be on the agenda,
yeah.
I believe.
Is
Can
it
we have an
possible,
emergency meeting?
is it possible to say it's anticipated that the board may refund $140 in the letter?
That might be a way to do it, just do a
Anticipated
consensus.
that the board will vote to refund at their September whatever
We
meeting.
can go
Can
ahead and
they
do the
vote on
letter.
it if it's a
Consensus of the
scrivener's
board.
error?
Consensus.
Or we can have
We'll
an
do the
emergency
consensus of the
meeting.
board
Do a
is to award
consensus.
$140 per
Consensus,
employee,
and
per retiree that maintains the life insurance through the 17-18 fiscal year.
Because they don't get it till the end, till they keep it for June 30th, 2018.
Yeah, we discussed all that, and if we
Yeah.
cut the check now, some of them may drop it, whatever, so.
Okay.
And
Charlie, you wanna
actually
call
putting
off-
them
you
in
wanna
the
call out
group back
District
with
1, 2,
us
3,
is just
4,
too
5?
much.
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't you
That
do
was
that,
where- yeah, that
Jane?
was the- Sure.
Let
Big
Charlie,
rate
he'll
increase.
call out District 1, 2, 3
This
for a
is for our
consensus.
consensus to.
Okay, okay.
Oh.
Go ahead.
And then we'll do a formal vote at the next meeting?
The next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, and item number 2, well, we'll take care of that. We'll go ahead and get the letter sent out. It'll be brought back at the next meeting to vote on the consensus vote. And the second item does say discuss input and action on the wellness program. That was discussed also, and Nikki was there, both Nikkis. And the insurance committee makes the following statement and recommendation. Only the Wellness Initiative project, which was funded by donations from Blue Cross Blue Shield for wellness purposes, was turned over to the insurance committee for determination of the best manner in which to spend the funds. The committee recommends that the funds continue to reside with the insurance committee, and the wellness coordinator of the district can present a budget request to the committee whenever necessary.
I did want to reiterate on that because the wellness committee, it was a little confusing. There is a wellness committee that we appointed and there's a insurance committee. And so the $100,000 that's left in the fund, the wellness committee uses about $17,000 a year, give or take a little, depending upon the number of programs. There's a stipend paid, $500, and then there's reward gift cards. So, I guess because I said so, basically the money's going to stay with the insurance fund, but the wellness committee would go ask the insurance for $17,000 a year. So that was what I think was the, but that's only 5 years left of the program as far as the funding goes.
Well, I can understand the money coming from the insurance fund because the wellness program should ultimately bring
Right.
down insurance rates,
Right.
health insurance rates for
Save
everybody.
lives.
So I can understand using the money for that.
Oh, yeah, I think it was earmarked for wellness, and that's why I said, well, wouldn't it just stay with the wellness committee? And then the insurance committee said, well, if we keep it and then under our preview, and then we would ask for a budget of $17,000. So the wellness has to go to the insurance and ask.
Maybe because there's no line I mean, do we have an account for wellness?
Yes.
within
Right now,
that
it's
It
in
is.
a project called the Wellness Project.
Right, so it's in the wellness now, so
And
basically.
we still bring it to the board for vote every time they get a $500 stipend, or when there's gift cards purchased for the
They want the money, they
fair or
didn't want the
anything like that.
responsibility, so they
I
want-
thought there was a discussion about
The
each
wellness
person
group?
at the schools that was responsible for it, that they were
Right,
looking at
okay.
changing it or
Right.
something.
Right.
So-
Nikki, can you
If they
speak to
just
that?
started the wellness.
I don't know, they took it, wanted it back.
Yeah, we changed this Nikki's
I'm gonna
name to
wanna know.
Noki. She said no,
Nikki,
she wants no
we
smoke.
just, well, I read somewhere where you all were looking at, like, each school has a wellness coordinator, right? And somewhere the discussion came up as to if they would have that position at each school.
The insurance committee, I believe, had that discussion.
Okay, all right, so what,
And I'm not on that committee.
oh, okay, so what did they decide? I mean, is
Paul,
that
can you
person
speak to
still
that?
gonna function in that position, or is it just gonna be?
At the insurance committee meeting, I did attend, and they said to just write a memo asking and requesting the funds to fund the wellness program as we've always had in years past.
Okay.
And then they would have the discretion to
Use it.
approve or
Okay.
not approve.
And it sort of
Thanks.
allows the insurance committee to keep up with the amount of funds that's left, because when those funds are depleted, if we keep up a wellness program, we've got to pull it from somewhere else, so it would keep us apprised of how much is left and everything like that. That was my understanding of the recommendation. Any questions?
Good.
You okay, Nikki?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, again, it's just a matter of if the insurance committee decided, well, we don't want to fund it one year, that, I mean, if the committee changed, it would be a little bit tricky, but
Gotta watch Paul.
yeah.
Wellness committees.
Gotta watch your Paul
I
on.
don't understand the point, though.
I don't understand. I mean, Sharon said it best. She was in the meeting. She said, so you want the money, you just don't want the responsibility. Like, oh, well, that's it. And they said, yeah, we do. So I don't know. I'm again, don't understand why it wouldn't stay with the wellness committee, but
Are they both board committees?
I would assume so. And basically, the way it's happened in the past is that Nikki has sent me an email and said what she would like to use the money for, and
So it's
just gives
never been a
permission to
problem.
purchase. No.
correct.
Just gotten
Well, Nikki
permission and we would
provides
bring it
the
before the board.
direction and the planning aspect, and the
Exactly.
insurance
And
committee
it's written
provides.
into her job
it's
description
part of
too,
her
the
job
wellness
description.
piece
Right.
and everything.
Yeah, she does a great job doing that, where the insurance
does.
committee is pretty much just, allocate the money.
So is this a change to the way we've always done it?
Yes.
Yes.
How have we always done it?
Just, it's been a project that when Nikki would tell me what she wants, I would bring to the board. Now it will go to the insurance committee for
And
their,
come out of that extra fund
still come out of that pot.
that we're gonna send the $140 back?
No, that's the insurance fund. We're talking about the wellness.
Well, why
one
would
now.
the insurance people be
Why do
over
they
the
want that
wellness?
money?
I don't know.
Because,
They fit hand in hand.
does someone want to help me out here? I'm
I don't
sorry.
know. I didn't,
Let the
it just
insurance
muddies
company
the
be run
water
by the
to me.
wellness.
It muddies the water
The
to me.
insurance, the whole committee,
Lord, we have a
wellness
nice
is part of,
Oh, great. File it clean.
You are too young to be doing that.
I put to sleep, sorry about that.
wellness is part of everything that the
Yeah,
insurance
it is
committee
If
does.
he was in the
You
program, he
need to get on the
wouldn't have
wellness-
that
you need to get on
problem.
the
Maybe you
wellness
get on that
committee.
wellness program,
Good thing I
Mark.
didn't fall there on district
Yeah.
property, huh? I would like to remind the board where the source of the dollars in that wellness project came from. That was Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that was money back to the insurance committee at the time for wellness initiatives that were overseen by the insurance committee at the time. Money going into that now are $50 a month for our current employees that did not get their wellness checkup last year. There are dollars going into that fund that is based on decisions made by the insurance committee. So there is money going into that fund now that should really, Danny, is Danny still here? Yes. Yeah, Danny can back me up, that the insurance committee, we're looking at claims. And the wellness money should be utilized in a way to try to bring down the claims that our district employees are making on the insurance. And how can we do that if we don't have any say in how the wellness money is utilized? Then we're looking at the claims and we're saying, well, we should try to do this. And we're not trying to take over the wellness initiatives. And then there's, again, differences between district initiatives for students and faculty versus, health insurance related wellness initiatives. There's some differences there. I don't think there was any discussion on removing the wellness coordinators. It was really more, the source of those funds before and now are coming from the insurance. And that's
Decisions
insurance
that-
premiums
insurance
and
that we
decisions,
made
and that's.
throughout the years on the insurance.
Right. And I remember years ago that the insurance committee would discuss, what are we going to do with that $100,000 from Blue Cross Blue Shield? We're going to have a health fair, we're going to do this and that, so somebody asked the question, has this always been done this way, or is this a change from how it's been done? A change was made a few years at some time to, put that under the wellness committee. It had been under the insurance committee prior to that, so.
And so we're wanting it back under the insurance committee so that we can help make those decisions. Because now there is additional money going into that, where before we just had the leftover dollars from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Now with what we've done with health insurance, and if someone does not do the wellness checkup, they pay an additional $50 a month on the cost of their insurance
get a break.
that goes into the wellness.
So the incentive is
makes
to
sense
do
to
it.
me.
Yes.
Years ago, I don't know how many years, but years ago, I think we put money into that insurance fund. I think it was $350 a year for employees that did not elect to have health insurance with us. Do we still do that?
Yes, it still goes into there. We have to give it back to federal programs now because of audit criticisms over the last 2 years. So that if we charge that additional money now to anybody that's paid from a federal grant, whether it's NEFAC federal, Special Revenue federal, or School Food Service, that money has to be returned to them. So- And we had always used that money to provide an additional $1,000 subsidy
I
until this
remember.
past year. And we had enough to provide an additional $1,000 over what the board approved toward the cost of the employees' insurance.
Thank you.
We depleted that amount because the subsidies were more than, what was coming in. And so the last couple of years before, actually the group insurance fund would go in the hole and the general fund would have to make it up at year end.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I remember now.
Oh, any further questions on that? I guess since it does say discuss input
And
approval
action.
and action. I guess waiting on a
Madam
motion.
Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we approve the wellness program as presented by the insurance, recommended by the insurance committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
Okay. It's that wonderful time in the.
Now, M.
Got one more.
Oh,
business.
yeah, okay. Discussion, input, and action on the designation of a Director of Instructional Services at NEFAC as Senior Management Service Class for retirement purposes.
And I can address that. They requested that, we have so many slots that are provided by FRS, and they've requested one of those slots since we're their fiscal agent. So we're just going through the process of the board approving that at no cost whatsoever to our district, but they're using one of those slots for senior management.
Now, Rick, you could use that for you, I believe, but I know I was the one years ago that started with NEFAC on that, so
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now it's time for reports. Any volunteers?
I'll start. First of all, I would like to just say there are so many wonderful, generous people in this community and in this county that help get school supplies for our kids whose parent can't afford it. It just astounds me how generous this community is. Just like Rotary coming in here from a different county and giving our school $1,000. It's just amazing how much support the district has. And the more support we have from the community, the better we're gonna do. And the other thing is insurance committee. I'd like the chairperson, being that it's a board committee, I'd like to
Who is
request.
the chair?
You, of the board.
No, I meant of the insurance.
I don't know, but.
Paul Smith.
Oh, okay, Paul.
But you're the chairman of the board, so I would like you to appoint a retiree to serve on that committee.
Okay. If that's
I'd like to ask that you report, you get two retirees to serve.
two retirees, okay.
In case one can't be there, the other one can.
An alternate.
Well, or
As
they could
long as
both
one
be.
of them's not me. Okay, is that the
Yeah, me
pleasure of the
neither.
board?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
You know, we do have an MOU, and I don't know if they could be voting members. I think they could actually be on the committee, but, we just did a MOU, and it's,
Well, I guess we need to update it.
We need to see the MOU. When did we just do it?
it was ratified during the last time.
July. There's a
I'd like to know what an MOU is.
You mean that
Memorandum of understanding.
the union controls board committees? Is that what you're saying?
No, the union selects the members, the superintendent selects the members.
Was there a
We
reason
need to
for
change it.
8 and not an odd
Honestly,
number?
It's a board committee and we don't get to
Yeah, I
select
mean,
members.
it's
I mean,
a committee appointed by the board, we should have some say-so who's on it.
What do they need to do to be able to put
As
member?
voting members.
What do they need to do?
Well, since the
Yeah,
MOU is in place
policy.
now, I believe we should open that back up and have more discussion so that all parties are in agreement.
Okay. That's what we need to do?
Yes.
Absolutely.
But it's still gonna be an even number.
Yeah. And Mark,
Why?
we can talk about
'Cause there's
that
8. I
maybe,
don't know why there's 8, so
between
you can
now and
make
next
it
meeting. It
11.
sounds like there
Yeah,
might
yeah,
be
yeah.
a good reason for
That's
an
what
even
David
number, but
said.
Yeah, that's a good
Four
idea.
and three.
That's a good idea.
That makes it odd.
Yeah,
Rick,
that's
I
a-
think, you could actually choose 2 retirees and then
I
just,
wanna
fill 2 others that were not needed.
You choose them.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. That's not a problem.
This
Just
insurance
says,
is too important.
4 by the superintendent, 4 by,
I'd like to be involved in that process.
yeah, sounds like we need to talk more about that between
Renegotiate
now
on the
and
MOU.
the next meeting.
I mean, we can either do that or we can add, you know, once we go through the process, add people to the committee. I mean, we're trying to keep the committee relatively small, but
big
but
responsibility.
if we want to add board
Will it still be
selectees,
smaller than it
I
was?
think we need to pick the retirees for the simple fact that Ms. Jorgensen mentioned in the last meeting, and I agree with her, that we really did some things and we didn't have contact or let our retirees know what we were doing, and I think
And that's gonna
now
change
we're
on our
supposed to do
agenda as
that.
well.
could we come back and address the MOU where it could include appointees from the board?
3 appointees from the board, that's 11, which is an odd number.
Or we get,
I mean, shouldn't it be an odd number?
I don't have a problem with it.
It needs to be an odd
I don't have a
number.
problem with
agree.
I mean, that's why we're odd.
What's the attendance
We have,
like?
that's why
You're,
We're odd.
you're odd.
She's saying you can't do that. That lady.
Go through the negotiation process if you wanted to change that, get your directors to do that as far as changing the makeup, as far as the numbers. And, you know, I don't care how many you put on there as far as retirees or general members, but I guess my only question is, and this is one thing that we ran into or had problems with the insurance committee in years past whenever it was volunteer, and well, it still is volunteer, but the smaller committee, not so much. But is a lot of folks come on with agendas, and I think that, with due respect, I think the retirees will have, you know, one agenda, not really be worried about the health insurance too much, but the life insurance. Well, I mean, but anyhow, I hope,
Without an agenda.
I
I've
hope
never
that,
seen anyone get on the committee yet that didn't have an agenda.
agenda.
Yeah, I mean, everybody on there has an agenda.
well,
mean,
I would beg to differ with you, Mrs. Crawford, but anyhow, that would be one thing that would
Want
be
what's best for the
concerning.
employees.
Indeed.
That's everyone's
That's your
agenda.
agenda.
Indeed. Well, let's hope
That's your
so.
agenda.
That's everyone's agenda, but,
How you get there is a.
yeah, how we get there.
path is
I just think it's
tricky.
very important.
Isn't this the year where the whole book's open again for negotiating?
No, he's a chairman.
Debbie,
so they just need to bring it back up in
Debbie,
negotiation.
she said yes.
Isn't this the year where the whole book is open for negotiations?
I mean,
I
couldn't we
suggest that
expand
all
that
board
then?
members read their, seriously,
Management can add more people.
Or we can just.
I don't necessarily
honestly,
concur
just
with
expand the
that
damn thing.
thing if you have.
Well, we could.
We could, board committee.
But I don't want to cause any more problems. We've got negotiations going on, and but I think that
I don't know why they wouldn't want to.
I think we're going to be good. I do. I think we'll work it out. We'll find a few people, and Mark and Debbie will work it out. It'll all be good. I guess you're doing it, Debbie. Is that correct? Your management lead, Thomas.
she and Thomas,
Thomas,
until
I think Thomas is
she
fine.
works her way out.
Thomas can do anything.
I know he can.
I've seen him do it.
Okay, so,
Do we need a?
I want to add 3.
we don't
That's
need a
our
roll call
desire,
on that, do
but we just,
What's our desire?
to have
Add
3
three.
members,
3
Board of-
Three
retirees.
board members, so if we can
Three board-
negotiate,
yeah.
board appointed, if that.
board appointed
Yeah.
members,
So
right.
the superintendent has some, the
Has
union has
4.
some, and we have
Some.
some.
And also,
Nothing
Nikki,
wrong
you're the board rep. Do you have a vote?
No, I do
Okay,
not.
so you're just the rep, the eyes and ears. But because this is a board committee, isn't it always advertised, Sharon?
Yes.
Yes.
So all 5 of us could attend if we want,
Absolutely.
to every meeting. Okay.
It's all,
hey, 4 of us are retirees, so there you go.
So, Mark,
You can't vote.
do we as a board have to wait till we hear something from you before we can appoint our 3?
What I would say is that it would be inappropriate at this time for the board to mandate that the makeup of the committee change, because we have language in place that outlines
As the
the
negotiations
structure and the function of the
Approved this.
This year, we can certainly look at,
Well, we would like for you to look at that because we would like for the structure to change.
well, during your next executive session with Thomas and Debbie, you can certainly express
Okay.
to them the desire of the board.
And then for the time being, would it be okay or appropriate for some retirees to attend the meetings just as one that's sitting?
Yeah, it's a public meeting. I
Okay,
can go.
okay,
Yeah,
all right,
they
so,
all show
so
up.
that until we work through with you all, when is the appropriate time to add these people? Okay, all
They
right,
don't have to be given the right to speak.
yes,
They can attend.
right,
Until
yes,
we-
I understand,
Right,
until
they're
we go through,
members.
And the
yes,
sooner that's
don't
done, the
have to-
better.
yes.
What are you looking at?
In the spirit of good faith bargaining, I'm certain that Mr. Modell and Mr. Bowling can come to something that Mr. Douglas will approve for us.
I agree.
Does that sound like a deal?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, did you have something else? I'm sure you did.
No, that's all I had. Thank you very much.
Did the 300
Yeah,
backpacks
tell
get
us
the
about-
price?
Oh, my goodness. And was Danny Page still here?
Yes, ma'am.
I had no idea. This woman, I told a story from Pinellas County, and she said, I've got 300 backpacks I don't know what to do with. And gave her a list of supplies the kids need, and she did fundraisers and got all the supplies and delivered everything. And they say, the backpacks say United Healthcare, 300 of them, that United Healthcare had donated to her.
And
So I just thought that was
United
very cool.
Healthcare.
one thing there, I'd like for either the school to send a thank you to
Oh, they're
them.
gonna do a
Okay,
poster
all
and
right.
have the kids write
Because we have
on
to
it,
teach
all
our
that
kids
stuff.
to say thank you.
Absolutely.
Our church provided for our
We do the
children
same
in the
thing in our
area.
right.
But still, here's someone that's not even a stakeholder in our
Yeah.
community that's concerned about our children's
That's
education.
amazing.
This whole county, like you said, they have been tremendous.
It's, I've been on
Outpouring.
United Way's board
Yes.
forever, and it's just unbelievable how generous our not wealthy people are. Our middle class to low middle class people are so generous. This is quite a Christian community. It really is. And I know I'm not allowed to say that, so.
Why?
Well, because you don't miss religion in the schools or something stupid.
Okay, well, next.
I was able to visit Mosley today and also Palaca High, and is really excited to see the kids and all the excited faces. One thing that was really neat is Palaca High School's renovation of their lunchroom, and the kids are actually running to get to lunch because
Honey, they've been running to
they
get the
lo-
first line, even if they didn't like
yeah,
it.
but they have a sub line where you make
Yeah.
your own, and so all the high schools. It is exciting to see. I used to always hear the stigma, oh, school lunch, but they were so. The
Wow.
food was amazing. I mean, it was absolutely exciting to
Days we
see.
had Hamburger Helper. There was
Yeah.
a mad rush.
And I did look at the Solution Center. They're trying to get things in order,
And?
and
What were there?
You mean
kids
long-term
in it?
suspension, in-school suspension, long-term?
Yeah.
It's gonna,
Were there
it's
kids
gonna
in
be
it
a
that
while.
had been
It's
in
a
it
work in
before?
progress.
Okay, and
Right.
where is it?
two
in
from
the school?
CeeLo, the rest high school, but
Is it in the new building?
no, it's old.
The new old building, I mean?
Yeah, in the back of the,
The old
school,
new
yeah.
building. Okay.
Anyway, it'll be something. I just feel the board needs to be aware of that and
Yeah.
try to keep
I'll-
tabs on
I'll
it.
get out
since-
there.
I'm very
out.
much, I'm on the,
And there's one
the
in each
mail
high
list,
school,
the email list, everything that goes out to
Yeah.
everybody, and, yeah, no, I'm
'Cause I don't
very
get
interested.
anything on any of that.
Well, I'm interested because I wanna make sure we're not just babysitting
Yeah.
these kids.
And an aide was in there with them?
one non-instructional teacher or non-instructional aide. Yeah.
Well, they had training on Odyssey one day last week. Renee was in charge of from
Yeah.
9 to 3,
Okay,
all the
good.
people that are going to work with our students. So that's the key there. If they can get them on Odyssey and keep them on Odyssey and keep
Oh,
track of
yeah,
them.
that's great.
I-
A
yeah,
lot of
They
these
could even
kids-
get ahead if they work hard.
And a lot of
Exactly,
these
that's
kids
what
are
I'm-
where they are with the behavior because they're so far behind, they've given up. They just
My
don't
board
see
report's
any
gonna
way of
address
catching up. And really, long-term suspension if they apply themselves, that's the way to catch up. It really is. I'm sorry.
I know, I just hope that we can have the right inspiration in there, because it does take a special person, and even if we have community members or, I keep thinking mentors and the different mentors,
And social workers and.
I've had
And
youth
Army
pastors that have gone to E.H. Miller before that were really, helpful. So I think that as a board, if we continue to visit and talk to those kids, I was, spent some time talking to a student, and he didn't like school, but he likes basketball. So I said, if you want to play basketball, let's get out of here. Come on, how many days you have left? What do you have to do? Just simple things that we could involve, that's going to be hard. It's not an easy task.
And
Jonathan-
I believe we're giving incentives to the students who complete work and behave, so that if they have 45 days, they can
Shorten their
Yeah.
shorten their, yes, I don't like the word
I know,
sentence,
but
but
basically
shorten the
what it
length of time they have to be in by positive behavior.
Right.
So,
And Jonathan Hinkie, Mr. Hinkie mentioned in his report that if they get this grant, this big grant, that one of the components would be a social worker.
Yeah.
So if the grant allows it, that person
be
could
great.
go in
Yeah. Yep.
and share, we could share resources. Just a thought.
Yeah, they need that, the mental
Well, and I
health
also
care.
think that Stuart Marchman sends people for the drug counseling.
Yeah,
too.
I agree.
They did at Solution Center anyway.
Okay.
Thanks.
Is it my
Is that
turn?
all? Yes, Mr. Buckles.
Thank you.
He gets a turn.
Pre-K, I would like to congratulate and thank Mr. Cernsey and Mr. Paget for going before the county commission and presenting our plight of what we're trying to do for the children who don't receive pre-K and get passed by, and that's the only way to really get them started on the right foot. And Rick, I do appreciate the fact that you spoke up today and did that.
Thank you.
I do have a grandchild at PHS this year, Jenkins Middle School, CeeLo, and a whole slew of them at James A. Long. So I have been in the schools, and I'm trying to stay away from Jenkins and Palaca High, because those two are very sensitive about being seen with a grandfather in front of their peers.
Well, if you didn't make fun of them and
I
stuff.
don't make fun of them, And I just wanted to, while you mentioned the kids running to lunch, I would like to ask Mr. Modell to please stop the running to lunch at Palaca High, because I know that's a serious violation of the safety code. Tex-Mex line is really good.
It is.
I'm gonna come eat lunch.
I wanted
with
to
y'all.
build on
Really
what
good.
Kathy was talking about with the backpacks, and some of you, I too attended a fundraiser for school supplies at Booker Park over the weekend. Melvin Dasher hosted a softball game. I think we got Rick, or they got Rick. the
They delivered
supplies.
those yesterday.
Did they?
Yep.
And
Awesome.
in order to play and to participate, you had to bring school supplies, and I went by there and got to visit the guys before the game got started with my son and grandchildren. And it's, get to see a lot of people you don't see a lot, but that field is looking good. The city's doing a good job bringing some of the ball fields back locally. And there was a great pile of school supplies, and I'm certain Rick got them to people that really needed them. So I appreciate that, and I thought that was a wonderful event. Also, maybe many of y'all probably haven't been aware of this. I've kept Rick up to speed, but one of the charter schools, I caught a clip on Facebook of a parent that was critical of the county commission and the school board because of a light crossing at Palm Avenue and Kennedy Street, and it was the Putnam Academy of Arts and Sciences. The parent really was misinformed, and I dug into the issue, and I talked with Rick first, and he said, go ahead, and I followed up on, it was Mr. Jacobitz, before he left, he was working on it. He's had a man,
Because I talked to
man
him
that's-
last year
I
about it.
remember
man
that.
that's come behind him, and then I talked to the lady Danita that's working in the office, and they're going to have enough capital outlay dollars to be able to handle the proper signage, and the board has been thanked by them for doing that, and I told them if they needed, when it comes time to erect the signs, which are going to cost them about $6,000, which is cheap.
That's
I'm
not a
telling you,
lot of
and
money.
that's the county building, the guys over there building the way they want them, because it's easier for them to work on. If there's any problems with obtaining right-of-way from the county or DOT, that I told them that I felt sure the board would write them a letter of support, and I talked to Mayor Terrell Hill, and he said he would write a letter of support, the city would if they needed it. So anyway, they might not be one of our normal traditional ed schools, but they are our kids.
Absolutely. And they've been asking us for help
And
since they asked.
that takes care of me, and I'm looking forward to the September 1st football game.
I knew he was gonna say football.
So,
That's going to be awesome.
I
That's
wanna-
when they're going to name
I've
the
heard,
field.
I've heard Miss Gilliard is gonna do a majorette routine and all kinds of
No,
stuff.
but she does announce our JV games at
I've-
Palatka High and
I've
does
heard
a
of
marvelous
Coach
job.
Gilliard for years. I've seen her in her uniform.
Miss Gilliard, Miss Jorgensen had one more thing.
I'm very
before-
sorry. I just forgot to tell everybody, and I put this in your mailboxes back here. Out in Interlochen, my church, on September 21st, they're having lifeline screenings. There's 5 screenings that are very, very, very expensive. Carotid artery plaque, heart rhythm, abdominal, aortic aneurysm, 5 different expensive, and for $139, you can get them all done in one day. Rotary had it too, yeah. So it's September 21st, out in Interlochen. If anybody's interested, look my phone number up on the district website and give me a call. I'll give you more information. It's really a good,
Thank you for letting us know about that.
Thank you.
sorry.
I just have 2 things to share. I want to personally thank Mrs. Nikki Hawthorne and her group for the summer feeding. Our church became a site, and we served, and the ladies that delivered, they were just great, you know. And I took some pictures of the kids eating the lunches and, you know, doing little artwork. You know, we didn't force religion on them, but we put it there and they got it, and it was just fun. So I want to share those pictures with you, and thank you again. I don't know how many you fed this summer, but it's great. And we want to look at Hank Bryan Park, the churches that covered that. Several days it just rained, the gnats were bad and everything, and there is a building that they are going to approach you about. So I think it's Jackie Williams that was in the school district. The second thing I want to mention is Mount Tabor First Baptist Church, Reverend Carlian Flagg. They gave a back-to-school rally where the parents came with their children, and they had speakers. Our superintendent was there, and he spoke about having an open mind to the young people. Someone from the sheriff's department, Deputy Chris, was that his name?
Chris Benson?
No, I'll think of it in a minute.
Okay, if it comes to you. Yes, he did one on bullying. They asked me to share about testing, so I labeled it the alphabet soup, and we talked about all the different tests with the acronyms we used.
That was
Those
Deputy
parents,
Dennis Jones.
Dennis Jones, and the parents were really concerned, and thanks publicly to Renee Lamoureux for getting that information. Their youth pastor is Deron Armand. He was one of our great students going through the school system. He is the minister of the youth there, and I tell you, he got all the testing dates, got it copied, gave it to the parents, and they're sharing, and I just thought that was a great thing, you know, that they brought in all of these people. They talked about mental health, everything, you know, the stress on kids. They talked about eating, everything that would make for a well-rounded kid. And so I just, again, kudos to Mount Tabor First Baptist Church and to our summer feeding. And that's it.
Okay, I'm going to hand something out to you before I start my board report. Don't roll your eyes at me.
You gonna say all of that?
No.
Sandy, don't roll your eyes at her.
It's just for you to have.
Okay.
In my job at St. John's River State College in the registrar's office, I see every incoming transcript that comes in for students wanting to attend St. John's, and on at least 2 a week, sometimes 3 a week, sometimes I go a week without seeing one. There is something attached to the transcript, and I pulled one off and made copies for our board members about exit option programs. And this one happens to be called Jump Start from Clay County. How to get your exit option performance-based high school diploma program. And for many years, as a teacher and counselor at Palatka High School, we had that program, and it enabled many of our students who were not going to graduate with their cohort to be able to catch up and graduate with them. Because most kids don't care what their diploma says. They just want to walk across the stage, let their mama take a picture, and say that, you know, that they've graduated and gotten this GED and performance-based diploma. But let me, and I've been wanting to bring this up because we don't have it now, and it just, I hate it that we don't have it in our high schools. But with permission from the student, I want to read you an email that I received. And that just encouraged me even more. He said, "Hey, Miss Crawford, I would like to tell you a story. 12 years ago, I walked into your office after having dropped out of school without completing the 11th grade. I left due to how sick I was and some other things going on, and was devastated at the thought of being behind after my treatment had cured the issue. You convinced me to come back and showed me how to get into a program that would let me graduate with my 06 classmates. I busted my butt that year and got my diploma. Now I am an engineer tech at a wire and cable plant and have been employed there for 5 years. Wow. I also got my AA in avionics as well. All in all, life is pretty good because you pointed me down the right road." I love this part. "So no matter what's going on in life, always remember that you changed at least one life for the better." Well, we changed a lot of lives for the better with that program. And I would like for our leadership team to look at seeing, from my research, many counties in the state of Florida still do this program. I have the ruling, the Florida statute ruling that's attached to it, and I have several other pieces of information that I could give you concerning it, but I knew David would get upset with me if I was too long.
I remember the GED exit option, but I would think Renee would know. Renee, we're not doing the GED exit option?
Nope.
No.
The college does it, doesn't it?
They do the GED program.
Right.
This is in conjunction with the college.
What is different from what the college is doing?
Well, the difference is the
They're
kids are
still
more
in high school,
comfortable
for
on
one
going
thing.
to a school site instead of a college setting.
My problem is we're K through 12. This board is supposed to
And they're still
concentrate
K
on
through 12.
up to 21 years of age.
If they get
They're
back in.
exceptional, if they are,
We call it
if
adult.
they have an
It may not
exceptionality.
even work toward
It
graduation
is
rates anymore,
not when they
Rick. I don't
start,
know.
when they're still in high school.
Renee, do you know?
Okay. With our GED exit option program that we did have, and that was how I was hired to come down and be the dropout prevention counselor
She
with
did a fabulous job.
with Mr. Buckles and Miss Grace Smith and Miss Phyllis Criswell, and we did do tremendous help with these students. I have so many students that have written me letters and have come back to say, you know, thank you, because, you know, I could never have done this if, you know, you hadn't been able to do what you did. We no longer use the GED exit option program because it does not count as a standard diploma graduate. So it's not something that is that would count in our graduation rate. So in meeting as an instructional team and meeting with the principals, they decided that they did not want to continue to do this because it does hurt us with our graduation rate because they're not included as a standard
So
graduate.
how does it hurt us?
Well, they don't count.
Graduation
I know,
And it
I
could-
understand that, but I mean,
the
it's not
percentage-
counting in
The
it. but
percentage
how
that
is
get a
it
high school
hurting us?
diploma versus those who don't.
It's
know.
hurting our graduation
Well,
rate.
guess what? It must not be hurting anybody else's, and all these counties are doing
Well,
it.
here's the rub
This is Clay
is
County.
we did win a national award from the
Yeah, I know we
National
did.
Dropout Prevention
It's not
Center for
just
that,
Clay, it's all
and we had some of the highest rates. But I do agree with Renee. Rick and I did talk maybe last year about talking with Bobby Payne and some of the legislators about trying to get the language straightened out for a district like ours that
Called
where
a performance-based
Yeah, I mean,
diploma
these
now,
kids,
not a
they-
standard diploma.
they might be a
Right.
parent at 15, you know, and then drop out or 14 and have to take care of a child, and then they want to come back, and they do go on and do incredible things, but I know the state quit doing that, but
Well, no,
Now, I
they're
know
not quit
through-
doing it. They're still doing it.
The state does the
back doing it.
performance-based diploma, yes. But when you withdraw our graduates as when you're withdrawn as a W-07 or in that respect and not a W-06 or, in that, what is a standard graduate.
And they're a dropout.
So it's almost on the dropout side, but it's not the dropout yet. It's not included in that dropout rate, in the dropout, for a dropout code, like many are included in that. They also have, through Clay County, it's done through their adult ed program that in Clay County at Orange Park High School. So it's done a little bit differently through their adult ed situation.
We do it through our adult, they tested GED at the college.
Why couldn't it do through the grade recovery teacher and Odyssey Ware to where if they stayed
That's how we
after
did, yeah,
and did as an
And
option?
these, it's 20 hours a week, they'd go to their job, and then, they have from 7 to 12.
But it's not included, when they withdraw, they're not included in the K-12.
I understand that.
Right.
it's not.
But I
hurtful.
mean, if
They
it's,
still offer the program, and it's still allowing students to graduate with a performance-based diploma.
yes. And it's also through the, through the adult
It's a
ed.
service where they offer.
Right. Right. And we don't have, yes, ma'am.
But doesn't the college do exactly that?
No,
Years ago, the
they don't
college,
get to graduate
Years-
with their high school class.
You mean walk the field?
years ago,
Exactly.
Kathy, years ago, the college did do it, and we took it back from the college.
I know that, and then we gave it back.
Then, when I was gone, it was given back to the
Right.
college, and because the law had changed on how they counted graduates, I understand why it was done, but it would be up to us as the board to fund it, and that's funding that, we've got an instructional goal and mission, and I don't know,
Gave the
And they
funding
are
to the-
still in high school, Kathy. They're not, they are K through 12.
Well,
Well, you get passionate about things.
here it says 17.
Well, and I understand because
17
I
and
was
a half
very
or 21
passionate
years
about
of-
working with this particular program and trying to be able to help our students. But when, when they pass the GED and they pass their state testing, which is whether now it's the Algebra 1 EOC and the FSA reading, then they were able to get that standard diploma. And now it's the performance-based diploma.
But they still have to pass the FSA and the
Yes, and they
FA.
have to pass those state tests as well as the GED. There's, but it's just the point of it not counting for us in our
I would think
graduation.
that wouldn't matter.
Right.
I think it would be the funding.
I'll
We
tell you what.
can't afford to
I'll
fund it.
tell you what, I'll get with Rick, and we'll start working with our legislative team and our
That's
lobbyists
cool.
to try.
I'll be dead before that.
What we need is
Pre-K funding.
sometimes instead of just money, you need a change that says, this is a county with a critical needs shortage of certain proportions, and
I think other
and-
counties are getting money
Yeah,
for it.
and they do get
We
money, but our
handed it
workforce
over to
development,
college when
here's
they
the
got the
problem,
money.
Jane.
They got the
No.
Workforce development keeps,
college always
Jane,
is.
workforce development keeps $400,000
I
of our
know.
funding,
I
and we can't
know.
get it because it goes to St. Johns County.
St. Johns County gets
Right.
it.
And Rick's working on that, and all we can do is wait, because,
Right, and I appreciate that, David.
yeah, so I think that's not at the bottom of our list, but I think we do need to look at language changes.
Yeah.
That would be very important.
I'm going to meet with the legislative delegation next month. I can bring that up.
If you let me know, I'd be happy to go with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I see Herman.
I would respectively.
There you go.
request that vocational academies be studied as a part of this program.
And we're doing that too.
We're working hard on
looking at
that.
some flagship programs now.
Thank you.
I'm gonna make a little presentation about that at the next board meeting.
We have welding out at IHS. Yes.
Okay, is there anything, Board Attorney?
Everything is going well in the legal department.
Superintendent?
Yeah, on a lighter note, I want to just brag about some of the things going on around the district very briefly. First of all, we had a good, smooth opening. A few bumps in the road, transportation-wise, but we have all that worked out now, so everything's going well. And we keep getting more kids every day, which is normal. But I do want to remind you, Mr. Buckles brought up the September 1st football game. That is the date of our Bennett Cooper Field dedication
Yes.
Yep.
at 6:30 p.m., and I would encourage you to come out. I want to thank John Chastain for helping with some of the preparation for that event, and you'll see what's there when you get there.
Oh,
We want to surprise you with what we've done, but it's going to be a great night, so I encourage everyone to come out. I want to thank Georgia Pacific, talking about vocational or CTE. They are supporting our industrial manufacturing program with a $22,000 check to donate for some of the classroom.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're really stepping out there and helping us. So thanks to them for doing that. Some other numbers I want to run by you. We just received notification of our SIG4 grant that we were funded at $1.3 million for Mellon, Jenkins, and Palaca High. So that's going to be a wonderful opportunity for those schools. I told you last meeting our 21st Century grant, over $3 million was awarded to us, and that's going to go to Mosley, Crescent City High, Interlaken High, Palaca High, Miller, IES, or Interlaken Elementary, and Jenkins Middle. So those schools can have after-school programs. A number of things can go on there. So that's in the works, and that will have to start like right away. So we've had a meeting about that, and that's in progress.
You have to hire somebody to coordinate all
Yeah,
that?
we're hiring a coordinator, and each school will have a coordinator and hire teachers, and so all that's happening as we speak. I want to brag on QI Roberts, junior, senior high. We just found out that they awarded 25 diplomas, ACE diplomas. 16 of those diplomas were with merit and 2 with distinction. And 409 students actually passed the ACE exams. Wow. So I was asking Laura about that, and that really stands out compared to many other Cambridge sites. So congratulations to Ms. Piazza. Yes. And we hope to replicate that in Crescent City. As you know, we've started the Cambridge program in Crescent City, and they will continue to grow, and we expect big things from them. Also, our collegiate high schools are up and going at Palaca High and Interlaken High, so I'll report back on that later. Finally, just want to point out to you, the Campbell building was supposed to be shown today, again, by our real estate broker. I just got a text that it will not be shown today. They had to reschedule it, but they are showing it to the same people they showed it last time. So we have a pretty serious potential buyer. So I'll keep you updated on that. And one of the people who have actually spoke before the board, Mr. Vito Russo, I know has reached out to our chairman and has requested of the board if he could do a presentation. And I spoke to the chairman, and whatever your wishes are, I would suggest if you want to entertain a presentation to not do it at our next meeting, because we do have a final hearing for our budget at the September 5th meeting. I would encourage that to for maybe the September 19th meeting.
Well, I told him that Ms. Cormany would let him know what the next available time would be, not,
So if it's okay with
that.
you, September 19th
That's
would be
fine.
more appropriate
That's
for a
fine.
presentation.
Will we put a time limit on it?
Well, it's like any other presentation. Is there a time limit on those?
30 minutes, I think the
Oh,
policy
I hope
says.
it's not gonna last that long.
I can't,
Well, I
we
mean-
can't hear.
That's how long
That's
they
okay.
last.
You're okay.
10 for the presentation, 10 for board questions, and 10 more minutes for them to
Wrap up.
wrap up.
Okay.
30 minutes. 10 minutes.
So again, that's
Yeah.
your
yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
September 19th, and bring something to read. I'm only kidding.
I just felt like
Well, we have to listen to everybody.
that we need to listen to what
Yes.
he's got
Okay.
to say.
Well, we'll let them know
I
that.
also told him to bring a plan of how they intend to pay for
Right.
it.
Well, that's, yeah.
I did.
I mean,
That's
pie
all
in
my
the sky
comments.
is all
Thank you.
fine.
Anything else?
I have a question. What's our warm body count?
Well, as we're doing one day one, we did one day 3, which would be today.
Today.
Yesterday, I mean.
So
And
what's
we're
the
doing one
most
tomorrow.
recent?
And I think we picked up 700 students from day one, so we are,
Wow.
I don't have the exact number you have in front of you. I know we increased substantially from day one.
You always get.
I was just curious.
Labor Day is usually the date certain when
Yeah,
they all come
date
back from
certain.
vacation.
We have, at district schools, 9,842, so we're down 764 students.
Okay.
They'll-
They
They'll
need
be
to
here after
come.
Labor Day.
You'll pick them up.
They gotta come. We need
Yeah, they'll
them
be here.
Here, yes.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, that was just my
Yeah,
question.
thanks for asking.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.